Welcome to Talk the Walk. I'm Sarah Wong. The pandemic has upended people's lives and reshaped the fabric of society. Meetings, court cases, weddings, and other important exchanges were moved online as the virus isolated the world. Zoom, the communications technology company founded by Chinese-American Eric Yuan 11 years ago, has played an indispensable role during the unprecedented disruptions. But what does future hold for Zoom when the pandemic subsides and consumers return to in-person interactions? Ricky Kapur, head of Asia Pacific at Zoom, joins me now from Singapore via Zoom. Ricky, welcome to Talk the Walk. So good to see you.
Likewise, thank you for having me, Sarah.
You know, Zoom has been a great facilitator for Talk the Walk as well since the onset of the pandemic. We couldn't have done it without you guys, so thank you very much. But as one of the fastest growing companies during the pandemic, do you find it easier or harder to navigate the global macroeconomics turbulence that we're seeing right now and the downdraft in the U.S. tech scene amid concern about inflation and tightening monetary policy?
I mean, Sarah, if you look at our numbers, we're still growing. In Q4, which is the last quarterly result we announced, our total revenue grew 21% year over year. We delivered $1.07 billion, exceeding the high end of our guidance. And that was the second quarter where we delivered, over $1 billion in revenue. So we are still seeing strong growth. It's coming across all segments, and particularly we're seeing growth both in terms of user numbers as well as in terms of revenue in our enterprise segment. So larger companies buying more Zoom as they navigate the post-pandemic world. We've expanded our portfolio. We've introduced products such as Zoom Phone for mobility and Zoom Rooms for the hybrid workplace. And a lot of organizations are investing in technologies like this as they return to the office. So we are seeing strong growth globally. We're also seeing very strong growth in the Asia Pacific region. We grew at over 31% in Q4. So across the board, we as a company are starting to see a strong take-up from our customers.
Well, you mentioned you've been continuing to see strong growth, but have you seen anything or signs that might hold back further growth in the future?
Look, we look at the numbers, we look at the customer engagement, and we look at where the conversations are headed today. If you think about today, what's happening is that companies and organizations are returning to office in a hybrid setting. And the three big shifts that we are seeing that is creating the market opportunity for us in this region. The first one is across how organizations are looking at navigating the employee experience. I think there's enough research out there, Sarah, where it shows that organizations are deeply concerned about ensuring they create inclusive, productive, collaborative work environments for employees. And employees are expressing a demand for flexibility, and they're expressing a demand for choice. And if you look at surveys that we've done with Qualtrics that show that in Singapore it's somewhere around 84% of Singaporeans expect everything in the future to be virtual. Now we saw similar surveys in Hong Kong with Robert Half's 2022 salary guide, which showed that 72% of employees would like hybrid work to be their future working model. So, with this new working environment, we're starting to see companies invest more in technologies like Zoom to provide the right collaborative environment for their employees. So that's a big growth area that we're starting to see. But in addition to that, we're seeing companies looking at reimagining what customer experience needs to look like. And, as we get away from the pandemic world, we're starting to see, consumers are becoming extremely, choosy about what they want from companies. And they're looking for choice, they're looking for convenience, and they're looking for rich, immersive video-based experiences on how they do banking or how they do shopping or how they do learn. And a lot of organizations are looking at how they provide new channels of connectivity into their customer base. And they're looking at building on top of Zoom for that. So that's the second big area we're seeing some growth. And third is
Yeah.
just brand new digital platforms being built in our markets for healthcare, education, and so on, which are being built on Zoom. So when we look at these three big trends, we're starting to see, we're actually continuing to see growth in our business.
Well, it may be true, as you said, that Ricky, that more and more workers may, opt to work from home instead of coming back to the office. But I've heard business executives denying the notion that the center of gravity has been permanently shifted to homes from the office. And for example, JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon is, as we know, not a big fan for working from home. So what is Zoom's strategy then to cope with an reopening world that is yearning for human contacts at work and also intimacy in social life? Because Zoom, as you said, is not only a facilitator for workplace, it's a facilitator for socialization as well.
Indeed, and we certainly see the future of of a hybrid world. We're not saying it's a purely virtual world where everyone's sitting at home. We're starting to see people coming in back into return to office, but there are people working from remote locations also. So we've morphed our platform, already grown our platform from being a killer application for video meetings into an end-to-end communications platform, with products such as Zoom Phone for mobility, products such as Zoom Rooms for hybrid workplaces. We've introduced Zoom Whiteboard for rich collaboration in a hybrid setting. We've introduced Zoom Events for large-scale events. So, when you look at the end-to-end platform, we're starting to see different kinds of take-up as people are returning to the office, but in a hybrid world.
Well, tell us more about your thought on the debate on whether online communications will inevitably lose the magic as the pandemic subsides, because as we know, most of the Asia Pacific region has moved closer towards coexisting with COVID. And we've heard from Airbnb that a pent-up demand for travel is enormous as people looking to shake off the shadow of the pandemic. And you've described that debate regarding online communications as a, quote, highly exaggerated thought process. Tell us, why are you so optimistic?
Well, firstly, we don't think, it's an either or. It's not an either I stay virtual all the time or I stay physical all the time. I don't think I don't think any one of those two is reality. People will expect and are expecting flexibility, choice, to be more collaborative, to be more productive. So people will start going back into the office a certain number of days a week. But the days where 100% of the workforce is in the office 100% of the time, we're not seeing that in today's working environment. It is not showing up in all the research that we've seen. And we've built our platform to suit that needs of that hybrid world where people are potentially traveling, meeting customers, being in the office, being mobile, working from remote locations, could be at home. And they're looking for the ability to have a communications platform that is rich, easy to use, secure, and allows very rich collaboration. And kind of that's the world we're saying. So it's not either or, it's going to be both. And that's kind of what hybrid will be.
I see. Well, it may not be either or, but to me, the question boils down to the volume of demand. The need for online communications may not outright disappear as you outlined, but it's the explosion of the customer demand at the beginning of the pandemic that made this company one of the most remarkable success stories. And what we're seeing right now is that companies that did well in the isolated world are having a harder time duplicating that momentum and sustaining that success? For example, as you may know, that the fitness equipment maker Peloton has seen its biggest quarterly loss since it went public, citing weakening demand as more and more consumers revert to pre-pandemic behavior. And we've seen similar stories with Netflix, Wayfair, Instacart, and so on. So my question is, how can you make sure that Zoom can escape the same fate, essentially, and sustain post-pandemic growth?
As I mentioned earlier, Sarah, we have become an end-to-end platform, way beyond purely video meetings. We've seen incredible success with Zoom Phone. It's a product that has gone from 0 to 2 million users in under 2 years. We have companies using Zoom Phone as people start returning to the office, as they start traveling, using Zoom Phone to connect with their employees, their customers, and other stakeholders. In this new world in front of us. So we have that happening. We see Zoom Rooms take up to be incredible. Just recently in the Asia Pacific region, we closed a customer with 3,000 Zoom Rooms, the largest deal for us in the Asia Pacific region for Zoom Rooms, as they were navigating this return to work, where they now needed to provide the right technology for seamless connectivity inside an office room or in a lounge to their employees. So as companies reimagine that employee experience, they're looking to our end-to-end platform, which is a lot more than Zoom meetings. And that's kind of why we are seeing sustained growth, because, it's a much broader platform than purely Zoom meetings. And that's we're seeing adoption across industries with that.
Well, interesting. We'll explore more of Zoom's new products or projects in the Asia-Pacific region and in the global landscape on the other side of the break. We'll be back in a moment. Stay with us.